I love Resident Evil 4 because I grew up with Resident Evil 4. I love a village.
Well, this is the thing. I think what we have in Raccoon City is kind of like a 1 and 2 hybrid, right? Or like a 2 remake with the 1 and 2. So I think what would be really interesting is to make maybe like a 4 and a 5 hybrid in some way.
We're both big fans of the games as well. I mean, I played, hundreds of hours of playing Leon before I ever played Leon in the movie.
How much inspiration did you both take from the source material?
Looking back at the games, you can obviously see that there's some major differences there from a physical aspect. We wanted to get rid of the sunglasses. We wanted to get rid of the sort of villain two-dimensional aspect of Wesker and really get behind all that and see the human behind all that and his moral compass and why he makes the decisions he does. Within this world that Johannes has created, that game version of Wesker would be very boring, I think. And I think you needed to find who the real guy was here and who he was as a team member at Raccoon City Police Department before he gets this opportunity to make a selfish act,
And also, I think that, like when it comes to Wesker and Leon, I think Johannes was like, we need somewhere to go. We can't just start Wesker as the guy with the glasses and the evil dude. We can't just start Leon as like the cop who exactly knows what to do, and he can't be the president's daughter's bodyguard, like this. We have to get to that place, and starting him off as the rookie cop who's just very unprepared for the day and a little hungover and trying to work his way through a very hard day with the zombie apocalypse kicking off. It allows us to go somewhere, through this movie and possibly others is a way to evolve into something rather than just being like off the drop. Oh, this is exactly what you recognize and this is exactly as you remember it. And there's nothing else new, no exciting adventure. And you'd watch that movie and then be like, all right, cool, great, that happened. I think this is about creating a journey.
Well, I quite like the differences. I mean, Wesker's got a little bit of Barry in him, when you look at the games. I love the fact that Leon's got a little bit more of his later game kind of thing. Like you say, wakes up, swigs the beer. It was incredible to see these changes, especially, looking at the initial casting. I was like, well, we've got Luther from Umbrella Academy, who I love, and we've got Berkeley from Zombieland. I mean, you look at those two properties and then you look at Resident Evil and it feels like there are connections between them, but there aren't really. I mean, how different how different is Zombieland to Resident Evil? How different is Umbrella Academy to Umbrella Corporation?
But I get to kill zombies in this one, which I'm happy about. It's not a peace, love, and understanding, and Berkeley's was a peace, love, and understanding sort of cat. And so this is a lot more handguns and shooting zombies. So in that regard, it's quite different. But for some reason, I don't know what I got something against zombies. I'm always killing zombies. I don't know.
He knows all about how to kill them, though. He's an expert now.
Well, it's not. I did a whole press tour for that one, and so now enough times they asked the question. They're like,
I've learned so much about killing zombies just from the press junket.
I have to admit, when I was watching the movie, when I saw the Palm Pilot, I don't know why, I sort of felt like a celebrating. I was like, that's the 90s. That's it. That's what
the 90s
would be.
Exactly. Yeah.
My dad had one of those. I thought he was so proud. He's quite like, he like pulled out his little thing. He was like setting schedules.
Keep
and
it in his
like
ear.
That. Yeah.
He's a stylist. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of what makes this movie work, though, because of Raccoon City being isolated, having no real connection anymore, people aren't going to notice it's gone is a big part of the games and this movie. So it felt like it had to be a 90s story in a way.
Yeah.
In a way and also like it being 90s, it's not like you're in a metropolitan city where you have to have like, you go super 90s and have like super trendy outfits and all this sort of trendy, like the 90s-ness of it is like subtle enough. And because it's a small town, it's not like they're like up on, TLC or whatever we're deciding is the 90s stuff that would be in like a metropolitan city. Yeah, I mean, it is interesting in that way. So it's sort of a contained story within the city, which I love. I love the archetype of the the small city or the small town waiting for the, the sea of problems or demons or zombies to come.
It makes it feel so much more intimate as well as an audience member. You feel like it's easier to access their world when you create.
You feel a bit trapped. Yeah, you feel a bit trapped with the characters.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting about the movie is it felt from the moment I sat down and only moments in you see the big Resident Evil appear, the original fonts. It feels like such a love letter to the series and like a movie made for fans of the games. And I love the references in there. Not to go too into it really, but like the keys that Kaya has to use at one point, the piano puzzle. Seeing Wesker do the piano puzzle, I was blown away. I was like, what a great twist on that. Around about sort of 25 minutes in, I found myself I reverted to being a child. And I was just, like, this is the movie I've always wanted, Like, were you aware this was a movie for the game fans?
That was
the way it was pitched to us, and that's why I think we all really wanted to do it, was because
nobody wants to touch this with a 10-foot pole unless it's like going to be for the fans. I mean, like,
for sure.
The worst thing in the world is someone is getting involved with a project that has a established IP and has fans of them, and then we're like not gonna respect. Because I'm one of the fans. You know what I mean? There's no separation between me and the people who are going to watch this movie, because I'm them. So, well,
with regards to this, being a fan, Avan, if I can ask you personally, there is a scene at the end where you do a core staple of Resident Evil. We got the big boomstick, as it is, the rocket launcher. What did that feel like to you to bring that to life?
I mean, it's unbelievable. It's the dramatic conclusion of the movie, and as far as like being able to say the line and again, like it satisfies two things. It satisfies stuff on like a deeply Resident Evil fan level, and then on my secondary level, it's like it satisfies this sort of like 80s action or Rambo moment that that you don't always ever get to do. Throw a rocket launcher on your shoulder, be like, stitch that, Jimmy, and like say the line and like shoot a rocket launcher in this like the baddie's face, and then have the big line at the end. I mean, so much fun. So it satisfied multiple childhood dreams.
Well, what I love about the film, though, is that you all seem to have, like the principal cast, you all seem to have a moment where, for that moment, it was entirely your movie. You had the rocket launcher, like I say. For Tom, I mentioned the piano puzzle, but I absolutely adored you, Tom, when you were going down the tunnel and you were looking for the sample. And I won't mention anything that happens later on in the movie, but it was just amazing to see that at any point for the majority of the film, I thought, I want this movie as a game. That's a sign of how impressive this was.
Cool.
It's the best video game film I've ever seen.
Oh, wow.
Mate, hey. That's amazing praise, man, because,
thanks, man.
Like we say...
You've nailed it about like everyone has their moment, and everyone has like a video game moment where you're like, oh, that scratches that nostalgia itch. I mean, it's super. Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
What I'd like to know from both of you is, what do you want to see next for the characters, perhaps that you played, perhaps the characters around you, and for this movie?
Well, I've been asked that a bunch of times, and I think that the answer is, luckily Resident Evil has such a long lore to pull story ideas from. Like, there's so many good games, there's so many good moments to pull, story ideas out of. And so I think for us, I mean, it's mostly just like having faith in the team of people who put this together, that they would continue to do and find out and come up with cool things for our characters to do.
Mm-hmm.
I love Resident Evil 4 because I grew up with Resident Evil 4. I love Village. I think Village is super cool. So there's lots to pull from.
Would you want to do the Resident Evil 4 storyline as a movie? And with that, Tom, would you want to do maybe like the Resident Evil 5 storyline as a movie?
Well, this is the thing. I think because what we have in Raccoon City is kind of like a 1 and 2 hybrid, right? Or like a 2 remake with the 1 and 2. So I think what would be really interesting is to make maybe like a 4 and a 5 hybrid in some way, and pull from both of those. if
Mix
they
and
can
match
if they
some
can do
stuff.
that, well, yeah, if they could do that within this world, this grounded world, and then capture all those moments somehow, that would be pretty special. Yeah.
They're gonna do a Marvel thing. We're all gonna be like separate, and then they'll never all be in the same picture together because
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
like, we
We'll do
can't get the
one way
Avengers
down the
together.
line.
And then you'll have Marvel versus Capcom, the movie,
Yeah.
and we'll
Oh,
see
there's your
Wesker
movie.
punching Captain America.
There's your movie.
I'd love to watch that.
Well, thank you both. Honestly, I've had a wonderful time talking to you. Let's do it again.
Thanks so much, James.
Thanks,
Thank you for the
James.
kind words.
Yeah,
Take care, you
seriously.
two.